Welcome back to an extra video for What Remains of Edith Finch. We're going to go achievement hunting because we only have 6 more to get. So we can do this through replay stories. So we're going to start off with, let's go to Calvin's story because there's an achievement for doing the loop again.
I knew Grandpa Sam had a twin.
So let's just get right to it.
He never talked about him.
Hopefully this
I guess
exits
my grandpa
us
didn't like
right
history
out
any more than my mom did.
to the replay scene thing later. Can you skip? Oh, whoops.
How I want to remember.
Oh, no, game, don't do it. I'm trying to see if it's possible to skip
Sam.
any of this.
The thing I remember is that when he made up his mind, that was it.
Okay, so let's go
My brother said he'd die before
see how
he ate
quick we
another
can do
bite
this.
of
I was even thinking about trying to
And he
speedrun
did.
of this because I was looking at speedrun
At
times, and it
Barbara's
seems
funeral, we swore
it's pretty
we'd never be
consistent
afraid
to
of
get a
him.
time somewhere
wasn't.
between
I think Calvin always
like
wanted to fly.
I think for like a first run, I think it's reasonable to think anywhere between like 42 minutes to an hour roughly.
But that day, he finally made up his mind to do it.
And that depends too if you're doing
I told him going around was impossible.
it depends if you're doing like 100% or if you're doing any percent, because
Maybe
if you're
if I
skipping
hadn't
some
said
stuff
that.
then it doesn't necessarily matter, but if you're going for literally everything, it's going to take you a little longer.
Alvin, I'm not gonna tell you again.
Maybe if the wind hadn't picked up,
Oh my god, this is so...
then maybe he'd still be here. But I doubt it.
I don't understand how that chain doesn't get slack on the way down.
I think he'd already made up his mind.
Because, like, you don't keep your momentum when you go up that high in a swing. Like, you go up, and then
That's
you
what I
just
wanna
drop
remember
straight
about
down
my
because
brother.
gravity. Let's go! And I mean, poor kid, he's already got a busted foot and everything.
The day he
There he
made up his mind
goes.
to fly. And he did.
Okay, so that should be...
Calvin's story felt strangely familiar. When I was younger, I remember trying to do the exact same thing.
Okay, so there's Calvin's story again, trophy, or achievement, or whatever. So now let's go replay a story. We're going to do Molly's story, I think. Let's do Gregory's story. We just have to knock all the letters of Gregory's name into the bathtub. And there's no, like, I'm not looking at a guide for this. I'm just looking right at the achievements in Steam. So...
Dear Kay, do you remember the way Gregory used to laugh when he thought he was alone? Like something funny was happening, but only he could see it.
I don't know if it's possible to skip any of the dialogue, but...
I think he saw things the rest of us don't.
I didn't even know you could knock these down, so... One more.
Time's over, Gregory. It's time to... Hold on, sweetie.
You screwed up, Mom. You screwed up.
Hello? Sam, I told you I don't want to talk right now.
There it goes. Okay, so we got that achievement.
I wonder what he saw.
Okay, so let's go replay. Let's go to Molly's. We got to do Molly's story. We got to do Barbara's story. So we have to let the drunken sailor finish his song, and then we have to go into Barbara's story, clear all the pool balls off the table. Then we have to go back into Edith's story from the beginning and take both paths to the house. And then we have to look in all the peepholes and telescopes long enough to hear Edith's commentary. So I think we can do that from anywhere. It would just be easier to do it from a part like right somewhere near the beginning. And I have
December
since
13th,
figured out
1947.
some of...
Dear Diary, I'll be gone soon.
I went back and
but
I was looking
wanted
at
to
some of the
tell
stories and I
somebody
figured out
about
what was
what's
going
gonna
on.
happen.
So Holly,
It started when Mom sent me to bed without dinner.
we'll see
I
it. We'll
woke
see a little
up
bit
and I
here,
was
so I can
starving.
actually
So I looked around.
talk
for
about it a
something
little
to
bit.
eat.
So first things first, she's eating gerbil food. It dried out, but the gerbil had eaten some of
The
that, so that's
gerbil food
already
was dry, but I didn't mind it.
like bacteria and stuff. And then, can we eat the goldfish?
I thought about eating Christopher, but I held back.
It's too bad there isn't an achievement for eating the goldfish. So yeah, we come over here. And this is the first red flag,
I kept eating and eating.
which obviously that's not good, but when you eat toothpaste like that, you can cause intestinal blockages, which is really, really not fun at all. And
I
this
ate a lot
here,
of things that night.
that's mistletoe. Those berries, they're poisonous. So that explains a little bit of what's going on in Molly's story
Then I
here.
heard chirping outside my window.
She ate the berries.
It was
She
a
ate the
barn
toothpaste.
swallow going back to her nest.
This kid's
I reached out
hallucinating.
for her,
Like, she's legit hallucinating.
and suddenly,
I was a cat.
I was a cat.
Let's see how fast we
I
can do
tried to
this.
be quiet,
Potential
but
speed
I
run
was
here.
Really scared.
All right, here we go. Let's go.
I jumped and I almost got her. I could tell she was getting really tired. Now I was up in the big tree. I
Man, this
promised
is
Dad I
so
wouldn't cry
disorienting.
anymore. All I cared about was I gobbled her up,
All right, here we go.
and suddenly
I was an
I
owl.
was an owl. First, all I heard was the wind. Then I heard little teeth nibbling in the grass.
I think the rabbit's over here, I think.
Rabbits.
Oh, over there. Gotcha. We already got the achievement for this. You get an achievement for
I
getting...
imagined his face looking up and seeing mine through my talons.
You get an achievement for
I swallowed
getting
him up,
both rabbits
and I
with
didn't
one
chew
swoop
one
each.
bit. Then I flew off to find something bigger.
I think the way it specifically words it in the achievements is get 2 rabbits with 2 swoops or something like that. I think the other one's over here.
A mama rabbit.
Over there. Yeah, it was over here. Okay. Okay, so let's go. Gotcha. That's pretty simple.
She was almost too big to carry. I started choking, but I couldn't stop
So-
eating.
This choking here,
And suddenly, I was a shark.
while part of the hallucination, I think some of that has to do with eating the toothpaste. Combined with
I rolled off a cliff and into the ocean.
the negative effects of
Now,
what happens when you
hungrier
eat
than ever.
the mistletoe, the holly berries.
I wanted fat, juicy seeds.
Nom 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 nom
Tore
nom.
off her foot, but it tasted really good.
Where are you? Oh, there you are. Gotcha.
So hungry, I jumped out of the water. When I opened my eyes, everything had changed.
Okay, now that we know what we're doing
Now
here.
I was a monster and I smelled people everywhere.
Okay, we took the long way around there. And this part, apparently, you only have to eat the captain. So you can skip the other two guys.
I was big, but I moved real quiet.
Gotcha!
I wanted to stop, but also I didn't.
So we gotta let this guy sing his song. That's messed up. Wow, this guy's going on forever. So once he's done, we can go eat him. Get him out of the way. And then we, I think after that, we can just exit out. What is the scuppers? Are you done yet, man? It sounds like he's going to be quitting the song involuntarily. Doesn't sound like he's doing too hot. Yoink! Got you, sucker! Okay, so we can go out now and replay a story, and we're going to go into Barbara's. So we're going to play through normally until we get to the sequence where we have to go into the basement. We're going to pick up the crutch.
Growing up, I always thought of Barbara as a child star.
And then we're going to use that crutch to knock everything off the pool table in the
All the
basement.
stories people wrote about Barbara's death, I'm surprised Edie saved this one.
Oh. I like how they just blatantly ripped off Tales from the Crypt Keeper for this. And the fact that they actually got the music from Halloween in here.
America's most unfortunate family. I'm calling it the surprise ending of Barbara Finch.
Now,
As a child star, Barbara was famous for her scream.
I really wish you could skip some of the dialogue.
Now at 16, she was all washed
I think
up, a has-been.
the one that's going to take us the longest is probably the one with the peepholes and telescopes. Because I don't necessarily know where they all are, but we're just going to go look through all of them. We'll start with all the peepholes in the house, and then I know there's a telescope
Unfortunately,
out near the
the
beach.
scream hadn't aged well.
Getting better. I think you just need
Or,
the
well,
right
it's not near the
motivation.
beach. It's,
The biggest fan.
well, technically it is. I think it's that area where the
was
cemetery
about
is.
to demonstrate
I don't know if
when
there's any other telescopes, though. Wow, that was...
a great scream.
It was Barbara's father, Sven. kid slipped into a table saw and had to be rushed to the emergency room. So Barbara got stuck babysitting her youngest brother, Walter. Her convention comeback was canceled.
Okay, I'm hearing frustration, but I'm not hearing terror. What if I tried...
A gang of hoodlums in Halloween masks have been terrorizing Orcas Island tonight. Police are urging residents to...
That came from the basement.
You're right! Also, I loved your delivery on that. Why is your basement door locked?
So I feel like
Because my dad
what
thinks
actually
it's
happened to
puzzles
Barbara
and
here
secrets.
is, like, I don't think they
With a
say
key in the
distinctly,
music box. The secret is to keep winding.
like, one way or the other, but
and winding
the
until
way the
finally
story goes,
key
I
pops
feel
out.
like
Thanks,
it's...
babe. I'll be back in a sec.
She gets taken out by, like, a mob of fans.
20 minutes later, Rick had
Because all the monsters come out. When she opens the door, it's almost like a surprise party kind of thing, but it's like a bunch of people, so I would have to assume that it's like
She reached for the music box.
some kind of
Wound the key. She listened for Rick.
just mishap with a bunch of fans, but then there's the fact that her body's gone, and they find the ear in the music box, which leads me to believe that it's probably something along the lines of, like, serial killers or something.
And imagine the worst.
All right, let's go. Whack! Yeah, there we go. One more. Whack! All right, we did it. Clear the table. So we got two more. Two more to go. So let's go replay a story. And we'll go start at the beginning, I think. I don't know if that's necessarily the best approach, though. Well, you know, if we go back to Molly's story, or no, Barbara's story, we can go out of the room and back into the house there. So let's try that. Because, yeah, we start off in the room here, so we can go out. Oh, and I did do some poking around to see what actually happens to Edith here. So I think, like, they don't explicitly say, but I think it's safe to assume... Oh, yeah, we didn't come look at any of these. I think it's safe to assume that she probably more than likely died during childbirth.
My Grandpa Sam spent 7 years sharing a room with his dead brother, Calvin.
Is there any more dialogue? Probably not. Okay.
As a kid, I just assumed every house had peepholes and sealed rooms you weren't allowed inside of.
I don't necessarily understand why Gregory's room is the bathroom. And I notice Sven is the only one with a middle name. Interesting.
The last time I was in Edith
Oh,
Senior's room,
that's it? I only missed the 3?
10 and she was painting my portrait.
Okay. That works for me. So this entire game, the only thing we missed was the hallway. Oh, okay, yeah, we looked in Molly's room. Okay, so that makes sense. So I guess I don't think we can go out the front door. I think we have to go back out the I think we have to go back out the garage. Yeah. No, that's a closet. So let's... Where was that? That was over here. Yeah, because this is where we came in the kitchen. Okay, so let's see if we can do... Let's see if we can get through this path. This is going a lot faster than I expected. Oh, we can't go out? Okay, fine. So let's replay a story. We'll replay Edith. Start at the beginning. You know what I don't necessarily understand, though? Oh, wait, I think I get it now. No, I don't. No, because this is on a boat. There's the Chinese food. The bag, the flowers. So she must have... She must have run off. What? She... That looks like a cast to me, though. Oh, never mind. I get it. You're playing as her kid right here. He's bringing flowers to put at his mom's grave.
A lot of this isn't going to make sense to you,
I get it.
and I'm sorry.
I get it.
I'm just going to start at the beginning. With the
They have an
house.
affinity for putting casts on people in this. Like, there's a lot of people with broken limbs and stuff. Okay, so last time we took the path on the right. This time we're going to take the path on the left.
I lived
and I
here
think-
until I was 11, but I wasn't allowed inside half the rooms.
Once that achievement pops up, there's only 9 achievements to get in the game, and that's the last one we need. Excuse me?
Inside the mailbox were bills from 7 years ago, marked urgent, open immediately. I hadn't been back since my brother Lewis's funeral.
So I guess it makes sense. So, like, we're clearly Edith Finch and she's pregnant. But
In her will, my mother left
I
me
never
a key.
realized that it was a
Didn't tell me
completely
what it
different
unlocked.
person
Maybe
at the
she thought
beginning.
I'd
Like, I didn't
know.
realize it was the little kid with
Or
the cast on his
thought the
arm.
mystery would be enough to bring me back.
And the flowers. I definitely wasn't paying that close attention. Mind you, it doesn't help that you're in first person, so you don't necessarily see it, but... Is there anything we can look at back here? Cool waterfall. Wow, you've got the missing posters all the way back here. Holy jeez, a whole bunch of them. Okay, well, let's get this trophy and then we can wrap this one up.
The truth is, even after I inherited the house, I never thought I'd come back to it.
I think it's interesting, too,
But now I had questions about my family that only the house knew the answers to.
that she inherited the
woods around
house.
the house have always been uncomfortable.
Oh, okay, there we go. We got it. Okay, well, let's just
Allowed to say something, but never do.
hear the rest of the dialogue along this path, see if it's any different. I doubt that it is. And we'll go up and look around the front door, because we didn't do that last time. Oh, okay, so it brings you out here. Yeah, that was where we came from last time. The upper path. We went and looked around the boat.
The house was exactly like I remembered it, the way I'd been dreaming about it.
We'll see if there's any other dialogue, though, coming up towards the front steps.
As a child, the house made me uncomfortable in a way I couldn't put into words.
I really, really enjoy this front of the house area.
Now, as a 17-year-old, I knew exactly what those words were. I
Yeah,
was
so
afraid of the house.
she's 17, born in 1999. This, the calendars in the house are, no, they're sitting at November 2010.
I hoped the key might unlock the front door. It didn't.
So at the beginning there, she's saying the stuff in the mailbox is from 7 years ago. And if this was 2010, that would put this at 2017. And so Edith is 17. This year is 2017. She's 22 weeks pregnant. She's about halfway through her pregnancy, roughly. Depending on if if her son was a preemie or not, because they don't say that specifically when he was born, I don't think. But so that would mean she had him probably like right before, sometime around the time that she turned 18, like just before. Hypothetically, probably died in childbirth or something along those lines. And I'm going to say, given the fact that this kid's riding a ferry over to this place and has a backpack, a cast on his arm, carrying his mom's journal thing, and has flowers to put on his mom's grave, I'm going to say there is absolutely no way that this kid is younger than 8. No way. Like, I mean, maybe 7, but that's pushing it. There's no way this kid is, like, younger than 7 or 8. Like, you're not going to have a 5-year-old kid doing this by himself. Like, coming here, making his way up to the graveyard on a ferry by himself. First of all, that wouldn't make sense. I mean, it barely makes sense with having it be like an 8-year-old. How does a kid get there? Without like somebody, because like, I mean, I'm sure the boat ride over probably costs money. It's a ferry. I mean, I'm not saying it's absolutely impossible. I just feel like it's a little bit ridiculous. If this kid is like 8, and if that's the case, and this kid's 8, let's say hypothetically, and he was born at some point in 2017. That would make this game at the end, where the kids at the gravestone, take place somewhere around the time ballpark 2025. Which I find interesting, because it's technically still in the future. If the kid's 7, the game's taking place right now as we speak in 2024. The kid's making his adventure over there. But I think that's all the speculating I'll do. So we've gotten all of the achievements, and I don't think there's anything else that we can actually do in this. So I think with that, we're going to put this game to bed. I'm going to stop theorizing on it. I will note, though, I don't have it quite yet, but I did see some grumblings about the fact that there's another game called The Unfinished Swan. And apparently, this game is like a prequel to that, explaining the origins of the Finch family, and the protagonist, I guess, in The Unfinished Swan is apparently Milton, the missing kid from this game. So I would be curious, and it would make sense given that Milton was like drawing and stuff, and he had that little flip book, because from what I've seen of The Unfinished Swan, well, not from what I've seen, from what I remember seeing of The Unfinished Swan, because I haven't like, it wasn't one of those things that I was actively looking for. I feel like the art style matches up. So I would be curious to play that and see if it goes into a little bit more of the backstory of Milton, or if it's actually a story of what happened to him, or something along those lines. Just an explainer to say like, oh, by the way, this is what happened to Milton. Because he's the only one really that we have questions about. Grandma Edie at the end of this one, it's safe to assume that after Edith and her mom left, Edith's mom got a terminal illness, and Grandma Edie, she probably took a bunch of pills and drank, and she was gone by the time the nursing home came. So she's toast, and literally everybody else was toast. And then Dawn, Edith's mom, died of her terminal illness, whatever that was. I think it's safe to assume that that was probably cancer. But yeah, and I would be curious to see if they come out with another part to this. Kind of following the life and events of Edith's son that we discover at the end of the game. maybe not necessarily like a game walking through the events of his life, but if the family is indeed cursed, then it would be safe to assume that since her son has this book now and he's hearing all the stories, he's reading all the stories from it, then that would continue on the curse. And then sometime around the time of him reaching adulthood or something, I'm pretty sure something negative would probably happen to him. Poor kid. So it'd be curious to see if they actually put together like a second, not a direct sequel, but just a game that links the ideas from this and the ending of this to kind of be a precursor for what eventual story might happen to her son at the end. I think that would be pretty neat. And I do remember there was a part where, there was one part where they're talking about, was it Grandma Edie that would tell stories about the one son that was killed by a dragon, and it was actually a dragon-shaped slide that the dude was building that fell on him? And then it's mentioned that she also gave an interview about the mole man that lives like on the island or under the house or something. And I think that's probably a reference to, what's his name? Walter. Because Walter lived in a bunker under the basement. Which would entirely make sense. So if we look at this, so I think it's safe to assume that Odin, I think they said that he died shortly after they came to the island. Like he lost the house in the ocean and then just died not long after. Walter, when he decided he was finally going to get out of his shelter, goes out and gets hit head on by a train. It's just hilarious to think that he went out right when there was a train coming. That was the first thing he did outside. Sam got knocked off that cliff by that deer that Dawn shot. Calvin, he had a cast in his leg, swung on his swing and wrapped it around the tree and launched himself off a cliff. Barbara, she got, let's say, dismembered, and it was only her ear that was left, and it was probably either wild fans, a group of crazy stalkers, or serial killers or something. Molly, I think it's safe to say that she died of a bunch of different complications stemming from eating an entire tube of toothpaste, poisonous holly berries, and bacteria-laden gerbil food that caused her to hallucinate and probably die because the mother didn't go check on her, likely until morning because she was locked in her room. Gregory, negligent mom, left him in the bathtub and the water turned back on. So I think you can draw some inferences there. Little baby Greg didn't make it. He went underwater, didn't come back up. Gus got crushed by the stuff from the tent when they were on the beach because he didn't want to go in the tent and there was a storm. So the tent blew and just crushed him. Dawn died of terminal illness, although they don't say exactly what it is. Lewis, I was speculating on this when we were going through a story. I think it seems reasonable to assume it's kind of, I think it's safe to assume that he, what's the best way to put that? He deleted himself using one of the salmon deheaders at work. Milton disappeared, but you notice the way he's drawn. It's very distinctly different from everyone else. Milton is drawn like just a cheap cartoon. And I think that's probably a reference to The Unfinished Swan. Everybody else has like these detailed portraits. Everybody's got the detailed portraits. Except Milton. And then you have Grandma Edie. I think it's safe to assume after Edith and Dawn left, she was toast. And she deleted herself also because she didn't want to go to a nursing home and her family left. Edith, though, I really wish they would have put a date there because... Well, I guess it wouldn't make sense then necessarily. She can't say... Because Edith drew this. So it wouldn't make sense to put her own death in there. Okay, so I guess that makes sense. So you have to draw your own inferences there and figure out for yourself that it's sometime in the ballpark of 2017 that she died. Huh. I'm just not sure why, if she had drawn this in there, why she didn't include another branch for her son if she knew she was pregnant. But at the same time, if she doesn't want the curse to continue, number one, she wouldn't have drawn the branch. Number two, she would never have told the kid about the family island. And number three, she would have never left the book for him. So you have to wonder in a way, did she want the family story to continue in this way? Which would mean that if the family is cursed, then that would be applicable to her son because she kind of just vicariously collected all of the stories together and just said, here you go. Here, we're going to keep this in trust for you until you're old enough to understand what it is. And so he gets it and he's going to the island and he's got all these stories collected there. So I think that's just a long-winded way of saying we're probably going to check out The Unfinished Swan. I don't know if directly after this or if we're going to go into something else. I have no idea. But it would be cool, too, to see if they're going to take the story of Edith's son when he's a little bit older and expand that out in any way. I have to say, though, this is probably one of the darkest games I've ever played ever. It is so grim. I mean, the entire premise of the game is that everybody's dead. Like, it's so dark. And I mean, it's such a depressing concept, but I really enjoyed the way the game handled kind of making light of it. Like with the way they handled Molly's story, absolutely brutal underlying set of facts there around the circumstances of how she died. But the way that they took the oh my God, dude, English, can you speak it? The way they took her hallucinations and made it into actual gameplay, that was really neat. And the way they used the comic book fashion in Barbara's story, that was actually really neat. It added kind of like a little bit of levity to it with like her lame boyfriend and all he can think about is her movie stardom and stuff. The kid on the swing. Gregory's thing in the bathtub, like it was neat seeing all like his toys and stuff kind of coming to life and jumping all over the place, but the underlying story for Gregory, it's absolutely brutal. And then I mean, you got Gus flying around his kite. You get the whole thing with Lewis. Dawn and Edie, you didn't really see necessarily too much of the story. It's just kind of like ongoing bits and pieces. And then there's that final argument at the end. One thing I did want to... Well, we were in the library. Apparently, from what I've seen, you can get into the library. I just don't know how. I'm kind of curious. We'll go for a little length here. Can we get out? I don't think we can get out.
I grew up looking at Molly's room through the peephole.
No, I can't. Okay, so let's go back to Barbara's story, and we'll see if we can get into the library. Because I think if you can get into the library and get the story of... Like, I don't know if you necessarily have to finish everyone's story to beat the game. I don't know. Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know that there's a way to get in there. And I don't remember how we got in there at the end of the game. There's got to be another way to get in there from, like, another side. Maybe... Well, and you can't go back outside. Interesting. I am curious, though, just to see if this actually works. So, we didn't... At this point in the story, we didn't learn anything about the music box yet, because you don't learn about that until Barbara's story. Oh, so you can't skip it until you actually get... You can't actually use the thing with the key to open up the basement until you actually go through Barbara's story and figure it out. Interesting. Okay, well, I think we've exhausted this game entirely. Let's play the music box again. I think we've done literally everything that we can do other than go into the library. So I think we'll call it a playthrough here. And I have no idea what we're on to next, but it'll be something. You can be sure of that. So if you like this video, make sure you hit the like button. And if you want to see more videos like these, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And until next time, thanks for watching.